Madame Lagarde, hello, and thank you for being with us here at the BNR National Bank venue. It's the third time in Romania's history when we have a managing director from IMF here in Romania. You're the third managing director of IMF, but also you're the third French person that is visiting Romania.
I'm the first female.
I want to thank you for being with us today here.
My pleasure.
Madame Lagarde, I will start with the question which was on the lips and on the minds of everybody here. It has a link with to the outlook of IMF, like the latest outlook, which was a little bit gloomy considering the risks, the new risks which are spreading towards emerging markets, and Romania is an emerging market. Of course, Romania is stabilizing now. We are some sort of an island of stability, if we may say so. But still, what are our vulnerabilities?
Well, I would first of all observe that Romania is doing fairly well. When you look at the growth, when you look at the debt level, when you look at the deficit to GDP, even when you look at inflation, although that could be controlled a bit more, but all those numbers are scoring extremely well compared with other countries, including in the vicinity. So I would argue that Romania is, for the moment, faring quite well and has sustained the crisis, the financial crisis, better than many others. Now, it is still vulnerable, and in particular it is dependent on the health and growth of some of its large neighbors and some of its large clients, because 70% of the exports of Romania go to countries like France, like Germany, like Italy, and those countries are not doing especially well at the moment. Our forecast for growth in the Eurozone is actually negative for this year, at -0.6%. So while this vulnerability to the trade and foreign trade activity is there, there is also strength that should be harnessed domestically by the country. Clearly, the European integration is a benefit for Romania. The funding that is made available by the European institutions and by the European partners should be leveraged, should be used timely and wisely in order to do the structural reforms which we believe will help Romania. I said earlier this morning in my speech that Romania had significant trump cards, I would say. The first one being its human talent, particularly the women, if I may say. Second, its sources of energy. And third, a macroeconomic stable framework that needs to be secured, consolidated, in order to incentivize investors.
Just to add, I'd like a little bit more. I think everybody, today at the press conference, at your conference, were aware about the risk of the capital flows, the capital outflows,
right?
Because of policies of big central banks. So, well, is Vienna 3 the answer? The IMF prepared for this?
I think we are operating in a slightly different setting at the moment. The deleveraging that was needed because banks had significantly inflated their balance sheet pre-crisis and had to deleverage, as had to deleverage households and quite a lot of other players, including corporates. That deleveraging has significantly taken place. How much more is needed remains to be seen, but we could probably argue that the bulk of the deleveraging has taken place and that banks need to continue financing the real economy at a steady state and in line with the demand that is addressed by the corporate sector and by the households.
Let's stay on the banks subject. We have in Romania a system that is mostly dominated by the foreign banks. We have an outlook in the whole Europe about what is going on with the financial system, which is not in a very good shape. Do you think there are risks for Romania also for the banking system?
This is not the analysis of the IMF. We believe that the Romanian banking system has deleveraged, particularly the foreign-owned banks, which have gone through deleveraging. Whether they are French or Dutch or Greek banks, they have done so. They have recapitalized at the core, and we don't see further deleveraging taking place. Added to which, we believe that the financial supervision of the banking sector in Romania is solid.
It is a solid supervision, but still the non-performing loans level, when I know IMF monitorized attentively this, is quite high. It picked 20% out of all the credits. Do you see a solution to this? And I'm thinking also, maybe, will you accept the idea of lowering the taxes on work, which are quite high in Romania? And I don't know if they're high or low, but they are unbearable.
Well, the first thing, the non-performing loans, about 20% as you mentioned, which is right, are very well provisioned, which is very important. So there is no skeleton in the cupboard, if you will. There is very, very high provisioning of those non-performing loans, which is critically important. Second, banks have to continue to take risks. They have to be measured, they have to be assessed, but they have to be risks on the real economy going forward. And whether it's a Vienna 2+, or whether it's a Vienna 3, or whether it's a state guarantee scheme that is put in place, but the banks have to be the channel of funding for the economies, and we very much hope that that is the case.
We see today that there were some statements, mostly of the President of Romania, who told you about the possibilities to have for another 2 years a new agreement, a precautionary agreement. Why do you think that Romania needs, even now, this kind of agreement? There are any fears about Romania?
I think the nature of the agreement that is expected and wished by the President, by the Prime Minister and by the authorities in general is of a different nature. It would be a precautionary agreement, one that the country does not necessarily draw on, but that it uses to actually monitor a process of reforms, a process of macroeconomic stability, in order to anchor those into the Romanian economy so that it is strong and solid and durable. I think that's really the intent of the authorities. Precautionary in order to really strengthen the efforts that have been undertaken and pursue the structural reforms that need to be completed.
You are going to visit Lithuania, not Latvia, and Latvia chooses to join Eurozone in the midst of a crisis. Would you recommend this for Romania, and when?
Latvia went through a lengthy process, and the joining of the Eurozone was very much the target and the goal and the objective against which they measured all the sacrifices, the efforts, these significant reforms that they undertook. It has to be done in due course. It has to be done when the economy is well balanced, when progress has been made, when it is solid and consolidated, and not so fragile that it could be put in jeopardy if it doesn't have all the levers that the Romanian economy has. For the moment, you have an independent currency that can be used as one of the levers to actually stabilize the economy. In due course, in due time, when the economy is solid and stable enough to actually, stay the course of Eurozone integration and common monetary policy.
Well, thank you so much. We have to close here the interview. If you would like to say more about the perspectives of Romania, you can add, but I think that you don't have time now to stay with us to ask you.
C'est un plaisir d'être en
C'est un
Roumanie.
plaisir. C'est très bien, mais I mean, if there is a question that Lydia wants to put for you, especially, I will let you.
I would like to ask you something about women careers. I loved what you said about women, of course. It's normal. What are the ingredients for a woman to have such a brilliant career as yours?
It's, and I'm thinking about younger women now.
Yeah.
It's education, confidence, energy. I think if you have these three ingredients and the support of female colleagues, female mentors, female family members, to actually, you know, go beyond yourself and have the courage to stand for what you believe in, whether you are a mother, whether you're a professional, whether you work in the corporate sector, whether you work in NGOs, you know, all of that is a source of huge wealth and accomplishment.
Merci, madame.
Merci à vous.
Thank you, Madame Lagarde.